everyone, and welcome back to my allotment. It's a lovely sunny day. It's the 16th of June and it's so nice to see a blue sky again because, much like the theme of my last video, the weather has been terrible considering it's June. Again, I'm wearing a jumper. I mean, now I'm on the go and the sun is out a little bit more. I'm sure I won't need this for much longer, but it is just incredible that we're jumper wearing in June. Anyway, that aside, I'm going to give you a tour of the allotment today. Especially considering the year we've had so far for growing, I thought it would be interesting to look back on and to use as a comparison for other years as well. So without further ado, let's have a little look as to what's growing in June. Okay, let's start in the far corner by one of the entrances. I added this no-dig pallet collar and popped 5 asparagus crowns in. I've only got 2 here that have been popping up. I'm not sure there is life in the other ones, but we'll see. But I'm just hoping that these ones will grow tall now. And on the right here is mainly a flower bed. And behind the asparagus there are trees. I believe this one's a nut tree. I'm not sure what nut. And then here is the medlar, which is absolutely huge now. I did absolutely nothing to this in the autumn. By the cage, I've added 2 little boxes. Originally I planted some spring onion, carrot and parsnips in this one, but they germinated and then got munched by slugs. So I've put in a golden bumblebee tomato in here instead. And then to the right we have Toscana strawberries, this gorgeous pink flower. Following along this side is where I'm storing some wood chip, and we have a couple more trees. I have no idea what this one is. Does anyone know? This, if you watch my first video, was a wildflower area in this corner, and I've covered it over. And the other day I planted out some beans, squash and a couple of cucumbers as well. And I just popped these directly through the plastic and added some compost. So again, this is no dig. And considering the weather has been rather unkind, they're doing quite well. I was expecting to come back. They've either gone, been eaten by slugs. I was expecting the cucumbers and the butternut squash to have gone really yellow from the cold, but yeah, so far so good. And then moving over here, we have the first of the plums. I didn't end up pruning this. I think summer is the time to prune, but now I can see fruit. I think I might just leave it alone. I don't know. What do you think? Should I be giving this little trim, keep it in check or not? It does create a lovely bit of shade here for the dog and to have a little sit down. I will take us into this cage area, and as a bit of a reminder, this cage was here when I took on the plot, and I was really excited for it because when I arrived there was purple sprouting broccoli growing, sprouts, chard. I think that was it. I've been planting things out since and I've not had quite the same success story. It has been a bit of a cage of death, but let's see what is growing. So on the right here I did have onions all in this area, but as you can see there aren't many left, and it's not because I've picked any. This one is just teeny tiny. Something's been nibbling at it. There's a sad shallot over there. So yeah, not much success with onions in this bed, but never mind. I have now put in some French beans that I had left, and they seem to have been doing okay. I did put some straw around with thought of deterring slugs, but I think it actually invites them, so I need to just check on that. I came down last night and went on a slug patrol and removed any slugs. This is, I think, I actually can't remember what this is. It's some kind of brassica. And then I've got a borage there. This is where the previous lady had her purple sprouting broccoli, which was really good. It was all in this area here. And as these went over, I left them to flower and have gradually been removing them. But I'm just leaving this one here to go on for as long as possible, as there's always so many bees. buzzing away on it. They love it. I planted some Mange 2 here, and well, they've all gone bar one, which is growing up against this purple sprouting broccoli, which has gone to seed. Got some flowers in the pod there. Put some sweet peas here, and again, they have not done well at all. And we've got some chard, which is the same chard that's in the bed over there, which has been doing really well, but here it hasn't, and it's going to seed. I think I planted the chard too early and it's bolted. I picked it up from a local nursery quite early on, so I think probably I should have sown some myself or bought some a little later instead, but never mind. And then to whiz around this part, because it's not very good, I've got some Mange 2 in this section, and then some pea alderman there, which haven't done so well, but I picked quite a few Mange 2 last night. Well, a little handful, which was unexpected. And it's a mixed colour of yellow, purple and green. And considering these were really struggling, I'm happy that they are producing. And over here, the peas, yeah, I think this is the only one that seems to be flowering. And in a previous video, I planted out some pak choy over here, and that's just gone. Nowhere to be seen. And then this is the final corner, and it's a little bit more successful. Here I had rows of onion and garlic. I harvested my garlic the other day and my single onion last night. I had a row of white onion and a row of shallots, and similar stories have just been destroyed. But I had one delicious onion, so I'll take it. And in its replacement, because the purple sprouting broccoli was growing so well in here last year, I have popped 4 in as a little test in this area. Over here is a gooseberry bush, and those are ripening up nicely. Can't wait to try these. And last but not least, we've got some main crop potatoes in this corner, which I've just earthed up with grass clippings, and they're King Edwards. So moving on to the large no-dig bed where I've had more success. This was originally 2 rectangle smaller beds, which I've joined up in the middle and turned into one larger bed. I've extended the end as well. The end here, which is almost a bit of a boundary, are the autumn flowering raspberries, going great guns. The jumper is officially off. I came in hope wearing a summery dress. Thankfully it was a good idea to wear. Anyway, I'll quickly, before I show you the bed, I'll just show you what's in this big flower bed next to the raspberries. Starting at this left side, there was actually a surprise rhubarb in here, which hasn't done well because it's just overcrowded with grass and raspberries, so I think next year I'll have to move that. And then we've got some grass that needs pulling out amongst the raspberries, but they're doing well. In here is a buddleia, which was humongous when I took on the plot, so I cut that right back, and it's now shooting up. We've got lots of different types of flowers here. This is a geranium. I'm not sure what else is in here, to be honest. This is lovely. It looks like a little daisy. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Does anyone know? And in there is, oh no, some bindweed that needs pulling out. But in there is a artichoke that I planted in the winter. Definitely growing quite quickly now. Yeah, lots of flowers in this area, which is gorgeous. And what I really wanted to sow and plant were some sweet williams, and I've actually got some surprise ones here. I absolutely adore them. I'm going to pick some to need to get this grass out of here. I'm going to pick some of these and bring them home to pop in the house, because I just absolutely love the frothy, bright, they're just so cheery and frothy. Okay, let's start at this far end and work our way back here. So starting in this bed are my broccoli, which I've got covered over by some netting, and If you've watched any of my other videos, you will know that I've had a bit of a saga with the broccolis, and I was really worried I wasn't going to get any this year. So I'm really happy that I've just harvested my first one today, and I've got 3 heads that I can see, and the one that I cut today, I'm looking forward to getting the broccoli sprouts, which would be a bit like that purple sprouting broccoli but green, shooting up from the area that I cut it. I do need to do a bit of weeding in here. And here on the end I have some potatoes, and I don't know if they're second early Charlotte or King Edward main crop. I'll have to just check my notes. Okay, and then next to this bed I have more potatoes that my lovely little niece helped me plant, and they're flowering, and I think I should probably pinch out those flowers, but they're so pretty. The bindweed. I'm just pulling out and weakening as I go. Then next to the potatoes I have got what seems like 2 successful carrots. Again, I will take 2 carrots. If I can harvest 2 carrots, I'll be a happy bunny. And then next to my 2 carrots, I have my broad beans. Oh, and a borage. There's the borage. And my broad beans, which I've just added some support to. I'm a bit concerned that they're not going to grow. Oh, no, I have a big one here. Okay, again, I'm going by the opinion of if I get a couple of anything, one small harvest from anything is a success. But why I was worried is there was a lot of black fly. I might have also pinched out the tips a little bit too early to try and avoid black fly. They are all over these little broad beans, and I'm worried that they're going to stop them growing. But I've got a few bigger ones down there as well, so fingers crossed. I've never grown broad beans before, so we'll see. In this third bed is the one that I planted out and prepared most recently, and I have a dahlia, which is Dahlia Romeo. It's doing really well and has no slug damage, which is amazing. And then I've got my 4 sweet corn, which was sown by me. I mean, this one's gone very stringy. Yeah, we'll see how these sweet corn get on. I do have more planted down the end that I bought from the nursery. This is a yellow courgette, F1 Atina Poker, which I planted out the other day. And then over there I've got more leeks, which I planted out the other day. Someone left a comment, I believe it was my last video, about how I planted the leeks over there and how I shouldn't have pushed them in, which I actually knew and just totally forgot. So with these ones, I did the dibbing method where I dipped the soil, popped them in and then watered them in. But again today I've had another comment about my leeks. The comment said that I shouldn't have, basically you can leave a hole around the leek and the leek will fill the hole, you don't need to fill it in. When I was doing it, I was kind of getting the water to fill it in. So it's not been pushed in, but it's definitely maybe still not quite right. So I might get some more leeks from a local nursery and do 3rd time lucky. But they've definitely turned into an accidental experiment now. Anyway, here are my runner beans, which I am really happy with. They're taking off now and looking very healthy. And finally in this area I have the French beans. I've got Purple Queen and Stanley, and I've got celery there and some coriander, and I've just planted out this Cosmos, and the variety of Cosmos is Cosmos and Antiquity and Cosmos Antiquity. I can't say it. Antiquity. Beautiful anyway. It's got like a brighter, darker pink. It fades to a dirty rose colour. It's gorgeous. So here is a bit of a rustic cover over my pak choi, which is flowering, and I'm not surprised. I think a few of you said that it probably wasn't the best time for planting out pak choi. I did sow it at the right time according to the packets. I think maybe I was just off with my timing of getting it in and so forth. So I've actually just left it go to seed. There might be some leaves in there that I can rescue and eat. I don't know, I have to have a look. And then I've got some celery under here as well. What I'm going to do is remove the pak choy in here soon and probably plant some brassicas and make use of this covering. Again, I'm not too upset when things go to flower. I'm just going to let the insects have it. The one thing I'm not sure about in terms of the celeriac is I think I bought these from a local nursery and some of them have two plants together, and I think I probably should have separated them as I planted them out, but I didn't realise. So will they grow together and just be a bit smaller? I don't know, or whether I should move them, but I don't want to give them their roots any shock. And the final thing in this bed are more potatoes. I've got a lot of potatoes this year. I've got two more beds here, and I probably should share the measurements of these beds. I aimed for about 1.2 metres wide with paths of about 30 centimetres. It's all a bit ish now. I think the two end ones are more like 1.5 metres potentially, but nothing larger than 1.5 metres wide. And I've got 3 metres wide at the top end by the broccoli, but I think this lower end is probably more like 3.5 metres wide. And this is my favourite bed. So I've got two nasturtiums which are growing strongly, a sunflower which is on the wonk, another dahlia Romeo there that was planted out the other week. I've got 3 kohlrabis, which because I haven't had them covered have been getting eaten by probably pigeons. But there is some new growth coming. I will just need to, probably should cover them or put some deterrent near them. I've got lots of spinach here which is now flowering, but I'm still taking and harvesting some of them. And even when they're flowering, I've been taking off some of the leaves and eating them. They're just fine. This is my free spinach, which apparently will grow up to 6 meters. No, not 6 meters, 6 feet tall. And every time I come down here, even one day later, it's grown a lot. And I was just harvesting individual leaves, but now I've been pinching off kind of the stem, and it's bushing out more. I absolutely love this, the tree spinach, and you get so much for the space that it's taking up versus kind of normal spinach. I would highly recommend growing that. I definitely want to grow it again next year. And it has a gorgeous bright pink variegated leaf, and yeah, it's just really tasty as well. So that is a winner and probably contributes to it being my favourite bed. Popped a little marigold in there, some more celery, spring onions. Spring onions for me are just growing so slowly. I haven't harvested any spring onions yet. Marlborough beans, which are much the same as the others. And then I've got chard here. Whoa, loads of flies. And this is only just starting to bolt and flower. But I've been harvesting these, and I've also been harvesting even the like shorter leaves as it started to bolt, and really enjoying the taste. I think if you pick them young, they're extra tasty. I have been put off the taste of chard before, but growing my own and eating this one has definitely put me in the chard fan group again. It's delicious. You might be able to see the tiny spring onions amongst, but honestly, they are just not growing. Those are a bit bigger. I need to do some more weeding in this bed. Gigantic sunflower. I planted these out really early. These ones have been eaten a bit, but this one's huge. I was actually worried that they wouldn't grow because it would have been too cold for them, so that's good. And then finally in this bed are runner beans, which are just starting to really take off and climb. And I've just been kind of, when they've gone a bit lost and are just floating around, I just help them out by giving them a little twist in the right direction. Okay, and then finally I have this bed, which is sweet corn, green beans, which are struggling in this bed for some reason. They're kind of bending over, and I didn't think these ones needed staking as they're dwarf French beans. So I need to just do some investigations there and have a look what I need to do. But actually I picked up 2 last night that snapped off. So we're down in French bean numbers here, but never mind. Got I did plant out some remaining little celeries here in replacements, and a couple of surviving beans, well, three strong ones there. And then the squash that I planted out last week, got Winter, Little Gem, and what are you? Okay, I seem to have lost the name tag. No idea where that's gone. Am I being blind? Okay, well that's gone. It's another squash. I'll put it on the screen. And yesterday I planted out some peas. I made this really bad frame for them. Not very sturdy. And probably the gaps are too high between. I probably need to do something to help them out a bit more than that, but there we go. And then whizzing around this section and the polytunnels, there's not much to show you in there. These are my asparagus, which I planted out recently. It was one of the first things I did, finding it hard to focus, but the asparagus now will be left to grow on as well. But these ones have been getting nibbled. This is my compost bin, the rhubarb that I planted out this year, which I haven't touched, I haven't harvested, even though this one seems to have broken off actually. So maybe I'll have you. Quite green, but we'll see if we can do something with that to eat it, because it's already broken off. The apple tree, which is just laden with apples. This side is a bit greener, but over here they're really ripening up now. And then the final part of the tour is my polytunnel. Oh dear. This is a June tour of mixed success by sure. In a recent video I planted out the aubergine that I'd sown from seed in February and nursed through the colder months, got excited, planted out, and within a day they got eaten. There was nothing here when I returned. So they've gone. A bit silly of me to not keep one back. The chilli that I planted, also gone, as is the sweet pepper. So there we go. But what I do have is my tomatoes. I've got honeycomb here. Then I planted a couple more the other day, which that's a honeycomb as well, and this is a golden bumblebee. So French marigolds that was here last night, gone today. Yeah, that's what's going on in June 2024, my first growing season at the allotment. I'm quite happy. As much as there have been some trying times and there has been so many slugs, I am just super happy to have harvested my first broccoli more than anything. And I've been eating so much spinach and chard, and I'm not going to be sad that things are going over or are not doing super well. I'm just happy to have had something from them, and I'm hoping I'll have my first broad beans soon as well. But just before I go, I am going to plant out a few things that I've grown from seed, and I've had them in the Charles Dowding seed trays and the CD60. So they're quite small, and it means you can plant them out when they're small plants. I've got some cosmos here, African marigolds again, but they're lime. I absolutely love stocks, and Seren from Seren's garden, so she has literally hundreds of seedlings of stocks because they're one of her favourite plants, so otherwise known as snapdragons. And I have one that is seeded. It might have just been neglect that they've germinated and dried out, I don't know, but I'm hoping I can at least plant that one out at some point. That'll be one to try again next year, I think. And I have quite a few kalex. And finally, I have this moon red, which I've not grown before. This was the lettuce that had round seeds, which were not like any other lettuce seed that I have seen before. So apparently slugs don't like red lettuce, and Claire from the Farmyard Garden confirmed that in her recent video as well. So I'm going to risk planting a few of these out in the allotment here and see how I get on, and save some for the garden at home. gardeners always have hundreds of, maybe not hundreds, but lots of gloves dotted around. So I have to mention and thank Rachel from Feverfew Garden Company, who kindly sent a pair of these lovely gardening gloves. I've been through a lot of gardening gloves and I wanted to give these a little test out and just couldn't not mention them. She hasn't asked me to mention them on YouTube, but thought I would share the love. So really quickly, a few key things to mention about gloves. They fit so well. I've got quite small hands, but then like quite big knuckles. So on their website, they have a measuring guide to get the right size for your hand, which is great. And they have this strap here, so you can make sure that they basically fit your arm really well. So that's excellent. And there's a clip here. So once you take them off, you can clip them together and not lose the other pair. There's quite a few other good things to mention about these. They have touch fingers, which is fab, especially if you're doing some filming or just texting or taking photos of all your veggies. They're very well padded, so I think if I was handling spiky things, which I do a lot in my garden at home, these would be excellent. I wouldn't have to wear really big thick gloves, which are too big for my hands, but usually the men's gloves are a little bit more useful for heavy things. They're just super comfortable, and they are a higher price point for gloves, but I think if you had a couple of pairs of these, you wouldn't need any other gloves. Yeah, they're very good, and they do them in this gorgeous green, but also a burgundy colour. I might have to get my hands on the burgundy colour as well. Okay, I am going to get going now. The last thing, a classic thing at the allotment, when you say you're going to go and then you don't go, but the last thing I am going to do is sprinkle some more coffee grounds around my plants. I do find that they are helping to deter the slugs, and I get these from the coffee shop by my office at work. They just give them away for free. Yeah, I'm just going to pop some more of this around any new planting outs and so forth. Thank you as always for joining me today. I really appreciate it, especially if you've subscribed, liked and commented on my video. I will see you again soon for more allotmenting and hopefully harvesting. Bye.